So the other side of network surveillance is the probes, the network probes. Now, decades ago, the capability that they had would be about what we were talking about before, the one tap outside one person's home, and that's it. But as I said, the scale of technology and its development has gone to another level. And so with this company, Glimmerglass, who are based in Palo Alto, California, they're like a Silicon Valley surveillance company. Yeah. And they're very, very capable. So they're able to sell technology that operates at what are called international gateways, or submarine cable landing stations, central offices. They're talking about a huge concentration of traffic, a whole country's concentration of traffic. Their probes are able to operate under. So for instance, Indonesia has two main cables in its country. As the internet isn't just a kind of all about things traveling over the air and no physical network. Everything ultimately has to come to a central point of presence, particularly when that information is leaving the country. And that's why we're able to use Facebook. It's just a problem that Indonesians' Facebook data ends up in the US, and how do you effectively hold the US or Facebook to account in those kind of situations? But to do that, you have to have a physical attachment to some kind of undersea cable. And Indonesia has two. One that connects to the rest of the Southeast Asia region. So kind of you've got Manila and some Hong Kong, quite a close one. And then the other one is an incredibly strategic importance. So it goes from Southeast Asia to the Middle East and then to Western Europe. So you're talking about going from Jakarta to Yemen, then from Yemen to like Berlin and the UK. These are the kind of cables that GCHQ and NSA are supremely interested in. Ones that will scale across a whole region. We'll be able to provide connections to a huge amount of different countries. And they'll be using, in some cases, these kind of technologies, these physical probes at these cable landing stations to be able to intercept whole countries' traffic. It was the Philippines that was having almost their whole country's communications being intercepted. The kind of, on the point of Snowden, the kind of Indonesian scandal of the president's phone being tapped, it wouldn't be operating on this kind of level. It seems like they were focusing specifically on the president's device rather than nation's communications, but still concerning. So to move on to the kind of cool, fun, tactical stuff, I'd like to throw a question out to everybody. How many unique, identifiable pieces of information do you think is on your device, your mobile phone? Two? The what? Okay. I mean, normally I don't get those perfect responses and we get to play a bit more, but exactly right. I mean, there's actually more now, right? We've got an IP address that'll be coming from smartphones. You'll have location tracking as well. But one thing you can do to illustrate it, if you're ever training people, if you'd all like to get your phones out, I'm encouraging you to get your phones out. And you type into your keypad, what we got? Star, hashtag, 06. Come on, Benjamin, you know everything. 06, and then another hashtag. Star, hashtag, 06, one more hashtag. That is the call-out code to retrieve your IMEI, which is the unique identifier of your device. So no two are the same. And alongside that, unique identifier for the device, you've also got the IMSI, which is a unique identifier for your SIM card. Our mobile devices have myriad, so many pieces of unique identifiers coming off of them. And with smartphones, they're only increasing. And so that's only growing, but the funny thing about tactical surveillance, particularly with mobiles, is that it is how it uses the way that a mobile network operates to perform surveillance. So we were an investigative journalist who isn't very good and carries around a smartphone all the time rather than carrying around something more temporary or a more basic phone. And you're communicating with a source, and you want to be somewhat discreet. You don't want to give away the information of where you're going to meet your source, so you send a little coded message saying, meet me at the spot in an hour. So you and your source, you know where the spot is, but if police or intelligence were to intercept that communication, they'd be like, what is the spot? We don't know where the spot is. That's so frustrating. So that content's almost useless. All they know, all the security services know, is that something's going to happen in the next hour. But when you communicate, your phone communicates as well. Communicates information that you don't necessarily know it's communicating. So to make sure that you're getting the best network coverage, your phone is always talking. Your phone is always speaking to the network, and normally to base stations. It's always asking, like, are you the best possible base station? Are you the most powerful? Do you have the best network provision so that Fadley can have like the best conversation he could possibly have? We want crystal clear audio and superb data. So even if you're not communicating, you're just moving through Jakarta, your phone is always talking. And it's not just what is the closest base station, it's what the most powerful is. So there could be, like right now, like 10 or 15 base stations in our immediate vicinity, but maybe our phones are only connecting to like 2 or 3 of them tops, because they're the most powerful. And so technologies such as an IMSI catcher, remember an IMSI is the unique identifier that rests on your SIM. So it's nice that they've come up with exactly what they do to name their technology. Technology like an IMSI catcher uses that fundamental operating procedure for the mobile network to perform its surveillance. So this box, which is no bigger than like a shoebox, it'll say, I am the most powerful base station in Jakarta right now. Communicate with me. And so all phones within that vicinity automatically connects to the IMSI catcher. And then the IMSI catcher begins to retrieve all of the unique identifiable information on people's phones. So you can imagine this would be very useful in a protest, possibly. Even, let's say, I don't know off the top of my head, a meeting of activists talking about communication surveillance technologies, say like in an office somewhere in Jakarta, like right now. If you wanted to know who was attending, you would you would be able to place an IMSI catcher within the vicinity. All those 15 base stations, they won't be spoken to. Those 2 or 3 that our phones were probably connecting to, they are no longer the ones that are being they're no longer being spoken to by our phones, and instead it's the IMSI catcher that is the one that's connected. So possibly all of our unique identifiable information is attached. So not only that, but it'll also host calls. So it doesn't want to give you the impression that you're under surveillance, so it's going to pretend like it's a base station. So you can be having phone calls with the source, having phone calls with your contacts, and it will feel like there's no difference at all, except that there's that you're actually having a phone call over an unsecure line that is already being spied upon. Privacy International have been running a campaign